Okay, so you've understood how it works, the signal. Um, what I didn't talk about was the mixed area. So we'd want to potentially avoid these areas. Reason for it is because we want to try and capture the real move. So if they were long and then adding long, then that would be a good bias. But if they were already long, but then reducing their longs, then that would be mixed. So that's why we're trying to be a little bit careful about these areas. Okay, so likewise, these guys were short, but if they reduce their shorts, it comes over here, so then it would be mixed. We want them to be long and add long. We want them to be short and add short. So that's great. That's great. Be a little bit careful. Be a little bit careful. All right, now we'll talk about the bubble size. So let's get rid of this. Okay. Right. So let's say the bubble's over here. Right, now so because they're long, the size should be getting smaller. That would be a good size for where it was. Even better would be something like this. And that just proves that the sentiment works and it's behaving correctly because they're long and added long, and because they're normally wrong, price should decrease. This is price performance. If it's a large bubble, it's doing well. If it's a small bubble, it's doing poorly. Because they're long, we shouldn't see large bubbles up here. Right? So that's the key to the bubble size. Down here, so we should see large bubble sizes down here. For the reason for it is because they're short, but they're adding short. So what would happen, say like for example, we had a small bubble down here. Yen bubble was tiny this morning, and I was saying to the guys in the private chat, that bubble needs to get larger because we're down here. And the reason for it is simply the logic is that these guys are normally wrong, and that because they've added to that bias, it's like a contrarian indicator. So because it was small, it needed to get larger or it needed to move. Okay, because the guys are normally wrong. These retail, then 80% of the time they're incorrect. So because it got larger, that was okay, and that disagreed with the sentiment. And what will happen is that this will get larger and larger over time as it punishes the crowd. Right? So we should see large bubbles down here and small bubbles up there. The reason for it is because the crowd, the sheep, are counter trend and are wrong 80% of the time. And that's the reason, rationale, and the logic for the bubble size. Okay, so remember, large is performing well, small is performing poorly, and so that's the logic there. Because price does the opposite of the majority. When they go one way, they get punished. When they go one way, they get punished. And this is why we get the signal. And this is why we're up 3,500 pips. And we'll continue to do well because of this logic. So that's that. The size is a little bit more complex than the location. But hopefully you understand that. It shouldn't be too bad. And I'm around if you've got questions anyway, so it's not a problem. Just some fancy colouring. So yeah, small bubbles up there, large bubbles down there. And if it's the opposite, then we can see a reversal because the retail are normally wrong.